Welcome to the second episode of Global Heatmap. This is your weekly roundup of important international and strategic issues. This week, what we are going to cover is the US elections, Houthis change the dynamics of Israel-Hamas conflict, the India-China Reapproachment, is it happening? Russia and NATO exchange threats amid Russia-Ukraine war. Is Muizzo trying to get closer to India? And Pakistanization of Bangladesh. Coming on to the US elections. The US elections have overflooded the world media with assassination attempts of President Trump, former President Trump, and now presidential candidate. Of course, US has to do a lot of thinking about their gun culture and the way they manage their guns and their people. Although they keep lecturing all over the world as to how the others should look after their internal security. But notwithstanding that, as far as India is concerned, there is nothing very much to talk about, because irrespective of who wins the election, India-US equation is not going to change much. The points of congruence and the points of divergence, they still remain the same. And apparently, when we say that in international affairs, people may change, but the interests are permanent. So the interest will remain permanent. And if the interest, as of now, seem to be permanent considering the international global landscape. As far as Houthis are concerned, they have made a wild card entry by launching a hypersonic missile in Israel. Although it didn't do too much of damage, but what is important is that it has shown the vulnerability of the Israeli defense, air defense system to rest of the world. And this is an air defense system wherein the American surveillance systems have also failed to recognize it. So the point is that a hypersonic missile can certainly hit and pierce through the Israeli defenses and can also pierce through any other air defense in the world. And I think Russia has plenty of them, so there is a fair amount of issues to worry about. Houthis have also made another gesture of sending their troops in Syria, which is giving a signal that they are almost ready to fight. They said earlier that if need be, we will go and fight there. It appears that they were not bluffing earlier. Thirdly, as far as Israel is concerned, Netanyahu continues to be parroting that unless I finish Hamas, the war doesn't end. So he is on his mission to end Hamas, which is impractical. But in the bargain, he has made all the borders of Israel unsafe, and he has also made all the Israelis all over the world unsafe. So that is the kind of situation which he has created for himself. Well, it depends as to how much Israelis can tolerate him and continue with this kind of warfare. Notwithstanding that, exchanges are on with Hezbollah. Iran is yet to respond, but apparently the Iranian response is in terms of operating through their proxies, and Houthis' actions would be one of Iranian response. So that's as far as the Houthis are concerned. Now there is also news of India-China Reapproachment. Now how this came about is that there were two meetings between Jaishankar and the Chinese foreign minister, and also the Indian NSA and the Chinese foreign minister. There were two statements made by India as well as China, two separate statements, both showing some kind of positive signs. But let me be absolutely clear. Chinese have not disengaged anywhere beyond what they had done earlier. Chinese have also given no assurance that there is any other approach of theirs as far as borders are concerned, except that it should be peaceful. That's about all. So I don't think we need to believe Chinese very much. But what is on cards is that the flights are perhaps about to start, which had stopped during Corona. there used to be 400 flights per week, which used to be flying between China and India, which became zero during Corona period and did not start thereafter. But I think the direct flights are going to start now. Similarly, perhaps there is some kind of realization that we need to do. We need to open a little more trade in a manner that Chinese investments are getting some green light from India. Also, some of the realization is also there that if we have to become a 5 trillion economy, we need Chinese machinery, Chinese raw material, Chinese APIs and things like that. So perhaps it's a very fine line that there is a Chinese digital encroachment and economic encroachment in India. At the same time, you cannot grow beyond a point. You need China because it is a global factory and therefore you need China there. So I think a strike, we have to strike a very fine balance, and perhaps the Indian government is doing it appropriate. As far as Russia-Ukraine war is concerned, there was fair amount of indications that perhaps NATO is going to give a green light to Ukraine to fire the Western supplied precision strike long range weapons. But then with the threats which President Putin has given and also some kind of nuclear references and taking the war to the next escalation level, perhaps some good sense has prevailed because US President and UK Prime Minister, when they met, they deferred this decision, and this decision is critical for the simple reason because if this is allowed, then these precision strike weapons cannot fire by themselves or by Ukrainians. The satellites and the tracking system and the guidance system of America has to be used, and for that you require those operators, and if those operators are there, that means NATO has entered the war, and therefore the response of Russia can be different. So this time perhaps they need to take Putin a little more seriously because they have been taking chances with him in terms of supplying F-16 and supplying their main battle tanks are concerned. There is another interesting development in terms of Muizu trying to get closer to India. The development is quite welcome in a manner that India did show a lot of strategic patience when Muizu was going along with India Out campaign, and also was very much interested in getting the Indian military personnel out from there. India obliged by replacing them by civilians. But notwithstanding that, now that he is in the chair, once he has won the election, the reality is biting him, and therefore he needs Indian economic help. India has behaved very maturely. We continue to help him, and with the result, perhaps, and all the projects which India had launched in Maldives, they continued. So with the result, I think Muizu is trying to take help from India and would be visiting India to get some economic concessions. But let's be very clear, he has not dumped China. The relationship between China also remains exactly on the same key, and therefore perhaps he is trying to get the best of both the countries, and we will have to navigate in a manner that he does not become a Chinese colony, and we will have to perhaps engage with him a little more. As far as Bangladesh is concerned, I think Pakistanization is taking place. There is anarchy. There are protests which are going on for some reason or the other. The over dominance of one religion over another is also a very disturbing sign in a manner that Hindus have been told that their Durga Puja will have to stop when namaz is on. So that doesn't give a very good picture as far as so-called secularism is concerned. Also, a fair amount of leverage has been given to Jamaatis, as well as some of the Al-Qaeda connected terrorists have been released. One of the professors related with Jamaatis has also come out with a bright idea that they need to tie up with Pakistan to get their nuclear umbrella to be able to quote unquote handle the threat from India. Now that is, I think, stretching it a little too far, although that is not the government position. But then the fact is that this is how things are. And some few other signals have also been given, like North Korea giving out photo ops of Kim next to the centrifuge, telling everybody that I am a nuclear power, whether you recognize me or otherwise, and things like that. So overall, if we see today, the picture doesn't look very good for America in a manner that everybody is ganging up. There were allegations that Iran has sent missiles to Russia, and perhaps Russia is passing on some kind of technology of missile, or maybe perhaps nuclear technology. These are the allegations to North Korea as well as Iran. But then they remain as allegation with no confirmation of anybody whatsoever. But notwithstanding that, both sides, perhaps the two blocks seem to be emerging, and if it's also the point when there are no aircraft carriers in Indo-Pacific, and Philippines also seems to be compromising by withdrawing from the shoal where they were contesting. So that is where perhaps that is how this week played up in international affairs and strategic affairs. See you next week with the roundup of what happens next week. Thank you.